Good morning. It is filled to the brim, and it is Wednesday, July 22nd. Last night, in the middle of the night, the Lord woke me up and He said, I want my children to testify about me. He wants to increase our testimony. He wants us to open up our mouths. The church has grown silent in testifying, and a lot of times the percentage of us telling about our need and our problem and our circumstance and our trial has increased, and our testimony and telling about the victories of God has decreased. And the Lord is saying there is power in your testimony, and I want my children to open up their mouths and testify of what I'm doing in their lives, the greatness, the miraculous power, the authority that I have given to them in the land of the living right now. Yes, tell about the story of yesterday. Tell about how they were saved, but also what I am doing right now. See, many times we hear prayer requests, but a lot of times we don't hear the thankfulness or the testimony of what God has done. It's like when Jesus healed the lepers, the 10 lepers, and only one came back to give thanks. When we testify, we're giving thanks. We're declaring the goodness of God. We are exalting Him by this declaration. Revelation 12:11 says this, and they defeated or overcame the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Now, Jesus' work is the blood of the Lamb, and the enemy cannot do anything about His work on the cross. It is done. It is completed. It was perfect. Nothing needs to be added to it. And as a result of that work, we have testimony. We have been given power. We have been given overcoming power. But the enemy wants to shut us up. He does not want us to declare and decree the testimony of what Jesus has done. And many times Christians get this kind of superstitious view in their head that they fear giving testimony. Somehow that will stop the victory that they have, that somehow they will lose that victory. And that's the enemy's ploy. He wants to create fear of giving testimony. Sometimes people are embarrassed for others to know what they've gone through, the trial or tribulation or thing that was in their life that the Lord helped them overcome. And that embarrassment, which is pride, prevents them from testifying. And you know what? That is wrong. The Lord wants us to testify of Him. That's how we walk in overcoming power. We declare and decree what God has done. Jesus finished the work on the cross, and now we testify to that work by the power that He has given to us to overcome sin, to make it through our battles, to have victory in our lives. See, when we give testimony, we are giving a word into heavenly places. You know, the word testimony is a formal written or formal statement. It is a statement that actually has a concept of being in the court of law. So it's an official statement. It is official statement as evidence, as proof of something that has happened. And that's why I say when we give testimony, it goes into the court of heaven. See, because who is the one that's the accuser of the brethren? It is the enemy. And Jesus is the one that has defended us, and the Father sees us through Jesus. And so as we give testimony, what it is doing, it is confirming the work of the cross in our lives. And there is a power in that testimony. It is a power that's even more significant than any other types of words that we speak when we testify to what God has done. There is a statement in the courts of heaven, and that's why the enemy hates testimony, because there's power in that testimony, and he wants you to be shut up. See, there's power in our testimony in the lives of other people. There's a quote, your story is the key that can unlock someone else's prison. That's very significant, because the truth is when we give testimony as evidence of what God has done in our lives, what happens to others is that their faith is built. You know, when Jesus healed the demoniac, the one with the legion of demons inside of him, the demoniac wanted to go and be a disciple of Christ. But what did Jesus tell him to do? Mark 5:19, He said to him, go home to your family and tell them everything that the Lord has done for you you. Everything that the Lord has done for you. Go and testify what I have done for you. You know, why did the crowds follow Jesus? Why did they follow him? Because they had heard about what he had done. They had heard of his miracles and healings. Mark 6:53 says, when they had crossed over, that's Jesus and the disciples, they reached Gennesaret and anchored at the shore. They got out of the boat, and immediately people recognized and ran throughout the surrounding countryside and began to carry around on their mats those who were sick. To any place where they heard that he was, they ran after him because they knew, because they had heard of what Jesus had done in the lives of other people. When we give testimony, people will seek Jesus out. You want to see people seek Jesus out? People that don't know him, people that are not really on fire for the Lord, and they have needs, and maybe they've lost their first love, and you want to see them return to Christ. Start giving your testimony. Start proclaiming what he has done in your life. You know, scripture even says in the Old Testament that we build the Lord's reputation by our testimony. The man Daniel, in chapter 4, verse 2 says, I want you all to know about the miraculous signs and wonders the Most High God has performed for me. He declared what God had done in his life unashamedly. It's so important that we declare what the Lord has done in our life, especially for the next generation. Psalms 145:4 says this, one generation commends your works to another. They tell of your mighty acts. We must proclaim what God has done so the next generation knows, so that their faith is built. And if we don't, we are harming the next generation. Actually, in the book of Judges, it tells us in chapter 2 that the next generation, after Joshua and the older generation died, the next generation, they did not know the Lord or the works that he had done for Israel. What a shame. What a problem for that next generation. And the next verse after that said, and so they did evil in the sight of God. We must open our mouths and testify. Come on, let's get off the track of the world that emphasizes the problem, and let's get on the track of the Lord that says you will overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. Come on, let's start testifying. There is daily testimony of what the Lord is doing in our lives. Open up your mouth. Don't give in to the enemy. Don't give in to pride. Don't give in to fear. Testify of what the Lord has done. You are making an official statement in the court of heaven. I'm encouraging you to do this today. God bless you, and I love you.